Imagine for a second, right, that you've done everything right in your life.
Okay. Yep.
You've built a career you're genuinely passionate about. You have these deep, all-consuming romantic
The
relationships.
dream, basically.
Exactly, the dream. You hold tightly to ideals that give your days meaning and purpose. Your life is, by all conventional standards, just brilliant.
Right.
But what if the very things that make your life so brilliant are actually a trap?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, what if those exact same passions and attachments are slowly, quietly destroying your broader existence?
It is a deeply unsettling thought, honestly.
It really is.
But it's the central paradox of this fascinating essay we're unpacking today. It's by a philosophical writer named Feng from March 2022.
And the title is How to Break Free from Mental Fallacies, Part 2, right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
And the whole thing centers around one dizzying claim. He says life shines in attachment while life perishes in attachment.
Okay, so to even begin untangling that paradox, we really need to look at how the author plays with the word life itself.
Yes, that is crucial.
Because there's a deliberate distinction made throughout the text, right? Between lowercase life, like L-I-F-E, and uppercase life.
What's fascinating here is that understanding that specific split is the skeleton key to this whole philosophy.
Right.
Lowercase life is the day-to-day. You know, your job, your commute, your relationships.
The daily grind.
Exactly. It's the entire span of time between your birth and your death. Uppercase life, on the other hand, represents a massive, eternal cosmic progression.
Which is a huge concept to wrap your head around.
It is. The text argues that the material world we interact with every day is just a temporary manifestation of a much deeper non-material reality.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit before we lose anyone. What is the author actually pointing to with that non-material reality concept?
Well, he's describing an underlying energy or consciousness that simply changes forms over time.
Okay.
Think of uppercase life as this endless, vast ocean, and our lowercase life is just a single wave.
A single wave, I like that.
Right. And the mental fallacy, the trap we all fall into, is that we are waves who have convinced ourselves we are the entire ocean.
Oh, wow.
We pour all of our existential weight into this one fleeting physical manifestation.
Okay, it's like spending a weekend in Paris.
Hmm.
But instead of actually going out to see the Eiffel Tower or walking along the Seine, you spend 3 days fiercely arguing with your partner about the dusty lampshade in your hotel room.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right. You get so obsessed with controlling this temporary space that you completely forget you actually have a permanent home to return to.
Huh.
You miss the actual vacation.
You do. And the author uses a much more, I guess, visceral metaphor to describe this dynamic.
The fish story, right?
Yes, the fish. Picture a fish swimming freely in a vast lake. It spots an incredibly delicious-looking piece of bait.
Okay.
Instinct takes over, it lunges, swallows the bait, and instantly ends up on the angler's chopping board.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the bait, in our case, is material wealth, power, status.
Yeah.
We relentlessly strive for those things, and when we get them, we feel that hit of self-satisfaction. We're the fish swimming away with a full belly, right?
Yeah.
Thinking we've somehow won the game.
But we don't see the hook. We don't see it because we're blinded by the immediate gratification.
Yeah.
And Feng neutrally points out that this isn't just an abstract idea. He specifically points to individuals in modern and contemporary China, for example, who have gained massive wealth and power.
Right. The people at the very top.
Yes, and he essentially describes them as fish who have swallowed the bait. They've traded their uppercase life, their true freedom, for a shiny piece of lowercase life bait, indulging in self-satisfaction while unknowingly becoming meat on the devil's chopping board.
Meat on the devil's chopping board. That is an intense way to put it.
It's a striking image, for sure.
And it's not just billionaires or politicians, right? It's ordinary people, too. It's the everyday worker chasing a promotion at the expense of their health.
Absolutely, it applies to everyone.
But, I mean, I keep coming back to the mechanism behind this. If the trap of materialism is so obvious, why do we all keep lunging for the bait?
Well, it connects back to our fear of the infinite, I think.
The infinite.
Yeah, because we don't fully comprehend the vast mysteries of time and uppercase life. That infinite scale feels terrifying to us.
So we just focus on what's right in front of us.
Precisely. We shrink our focus, we cling to what we can touch, measure, and control. Money, titles, immediate physical comfort.
That makes a lot of sense.
We perform these intense, high-stakes, tragic dramas on the stage of lowercase life, mainly because the alternative is admitting how small our current manifestation actually is.
Okay, I follow the logic when we're talking about corporate greed or, political power.
Sure.
But here's where it gets really interesting. And honestly, this is where I really struggle with the author's premise.
Oh, tell me.
The text lumps in things that seem fundamentally good. I mean, I get how chasing money is bad, but the text says we also shouldn't be attached to marriage, family, or even ideals.
Yes, it goes there.
But isn't deep romantic love the whole point of being human? Like, if wealth is the obvious bait, is Zhuefeng seriously arguing that deep romantic love is also bait?
This is exactly where the critique moves from standard anti-materialism to a profound challenge of human nature.
Okay.
Because the essay actually concedes your point. It admits that attachment does make lowercase life brilliant.
Well, yeah, because without attachment, there's no passion. You just don't care.
Exactly. The author uses the example of a couple deeply in love. They feel the world would collapse without each other.
Right.
That intense focus is attachment in its purest form. It creates a deeply romantic, sweet period, the absolute pinnacle of a passionate affair.
Lowercase life is shining as brightly as it possibly can.
Yes, it is. But the author is saying that brilliance comes with a hidden cost.
A cost that just creeps up on you.
A catastrophic cost over time, really. The text points out that because of the nature of time, what he calls the erosion of daily life inevitably sets in.
The erosion of daily life. Wow.
Yeah, the sheer friction of existing alongside someone day in and day out, the chores, the bills, the routines, it begins to wear down that initial spark.
Right, the honeymoon phase ends.
And that life-defining attachment gradually transforms into what the author calls a binding rope.
Okay, let me push back hard on that.
Go for it.
Calling a lifelong marriage a binding rope sounds incredibly cynical, doesn't it? Isn't committing to someone through the erosion of daily life the very definition of a meaningful relationship?
Well, it's not the commitment itself that's the binding rope. It's the excessive attachment.
Okay, what's the difference there?
When you make one person your entire universe, you basically demand that they fulfill every single existential need you have. You pour all your energy into maintaining that specific brilliance.
Oh, I see.
By the time this couple grows old, the text suggests they've neglected all the other breathtaking scenery along the journey of life.
Wow.
And beneath the smiling faces they present to the world, there lies a profound sense of helplessness and endless lamentation.
It's like they spent the whole train ride through the Alps staring only at the person sitting across from them.
Yes, exactly that.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, the flower of uppercase life withers because we suffocate our broader potential by clinging too tightly to one specific part of it.
That is the core tragedy here. And this narrow focus makes us incredibly fragile.
How so?
Because if our entire universe is built around one person or one ideal, the natural fluctuations of reality become existential threats.
That makes sense.
Which perfectly explains what happens when we finally achieve the grand goals we set for ourselves. So Feng illustrates this obsession with a story about climbing a mountain.
Oh, yes, set the scene for us, because this story perfectly captures how ridiculous our pursuits can be.
So there's an old man descending from a high mountain peak. He passes a group of young people excitedly climbing up.
Okay.
They're completely driven by the intense goal of reaching the summit. But the old man stops them and says, "There is nothing worth seeing at the mountaintop. The view is even better down below."
Let me guess. The young climbers completely ignore him.
Totally ignore him.
They probably think he's just a bitter old guy who couldn't handle the climb, or that he simply doesn't understand their ambition.
Right. They dismiss him entirely and just keep climbing. They struggle, they exhaust themselves, they sacrifice their youth for the ascent,
Yeah.
and eventually they do reach the summit. But by the time they get there, they have grown old.
And they look around and realize the old man was right all along.
Yeah.
The summit is barren. The pursuit itself was an illusion.
Exactly. So these people, who are now old themselves, begin their descent.
Oh, I see where this is going.
On their way down, they encounter a new generation of young people excitedly climbing up. They try to warn them that the top is empty, but the new generation ignores them just as they ignored the old man.
It's a tragic loop.
It is. The author notes this loop has been unfolding from the distant past to the present and will continue right into the future.
We are so attached to the idea of the summit. Becoming a CEO, getting married, buying the massive house. We sacrifice the actual journey for a destination that never delivers what it promised.
It's true, but the essay takes this from a sad psychological loop to something much darker.
Wait, dark?
Yeah. The author lists out how our specific attachments become literally lethal to us. He says, highly serious people die due to their seriousness.
Interesting.
Excessively clean people die due to cleanliness. Nutritionists die due to nutrition.
Okay, the nutrition one is fascinating.
Right.
How does someone die from nutrition?
It sounds like a joke at first, doesn't it?
It does. It has to be about the biological stress of the obsession itself, right?
Right.
If you become so attached to the concept of a perfect diet, every single meal becomes a source of extreme anxiety.
Exactly.
You worry about every micronutrient, every possible toxin. The sheer cortisol and stress of maintaining that rigid control destroys the health you were trying to protect.
That is the fatal rigidity of obsession. People desperately seeking longevity will die prematurely, specifically because they are in pursuit of longevity.
Wow.
Those pursuing wealth or political power die due to wealth and power. The mechanism is identical across the board.
So the pursuit becomes the poison.
Yes. This raises an important question, though. When we attach ourselves completely to a single outcome, we lose our flexibility. We become so brittle that, yes, the pursuit is the poison.
So what does this all mean? If caring deeply about your diet ruins your health, and caring deeply about your partner turns them into a binding rope,
Yeah.
and caring deeply about your career makes you a finish on a chopping board, I have to ask, is this just a long, eloquent argument for nihilism?
A lot of people might think that.
Does the author just want us to sit in an empty room and wait for the end? Because that sounds like he's saying we shouldn't care about anything at all.
It's the most natural reaction to have when confronted with this philosophy. But I want to clarify, this text is not advocating nihilism.
Okay, good.
Nihilism says nothing matters. Zhu Feng is saying that everything matters, but our grip on it is entirely wrong. It's a warning against the fatal rigidity of obsession, not against the experience itself.
Okay, then what is the actual path forward here? The diagnosis is terrifyingly clear. Our attachments are traps.
Yes.
So how is the listener actually supposed to live their life tomorrow morning when their alarm goes off?
The author outlines a very specific alternative path. He basically proposes a philosophy of engagement without entanglement.
Engagement without entanglement. Okay.
The text says we need to, quote, take things as they are, associate with others by following naturally come-and-go relations.
Come-and-go relations.
Yes. Act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, take advantage of opportunities as they arise, and ultimately let go of attachment to achieve what he calls the sublimation of life.
Let's stop right there for a second. Sublimation. That's a really dense word. What does it actually mean in this specific context?
Well, in physics, sublimation is when a solid turns directly into a gas, right? Skipping the messy liquid phase entirely.
Right, like dry ice.
Exactly. In psychology and philosophy, it means taking a base, heavy impulse and transforming it into something higher, purer, and more elevated.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the sublimation of life means taking the heavy, desperate energy we pour into our everyday anxieties and transforming it into a broader, more peaceful awareness of our eternal journey.
That sounds beautiful in theory. I mean, truly. But I keep tripping over that phrase, naturally come-and-go relations.
It is a tough one to swallow.
Practically speaking, if I treat my marriage or my family as come and go, isn't that just a recipe for divorce and alienation?
It sounds like it.
How is emotional detachment supposed to be a brilliant way to live?
Well, it's not about being emotionally detached or aloof. It's about accepting the fundamental reality of impermanence.
Okay.
Come and go means acknowledging that people, circumstances, and possessions enter our lives, and eventually, through death, change, or simply time, they will leave.
That is just a fact of life.
Exactly. You appreciate them fully while they're there, but you don't build a massive psychological fortress around them, demanding that they stay forever.
Let's make this incredibly concrete for the listener, because people have busy schedules and real-world responsibilities.
Sure, let's do that.
Say you have a massive project at work, a promotion is on the line, you have a mortgage to pay. You can't just float into the office like a leaf on the wind and say, well, my job is a come-and-go relation, so I'm not really worried about the quarterly report.
No, definitely not.
How do you apply this philosophy without your actual life just falling apart?
This is where that other instruction comes in. Take advantage of opportunities as they arise. That is vital.
Okay.
Schruffing isn't telling you to ignore the quarterly report. You still analyze the data, you still lead your team, you still try to win the promotion.
So you still do the work.
You engage fully with the opportunity in front of you, but you do it fluidly,
Meaning, if the promotion goes to someone else, you don't have a complete existential crisis.
Exactly. You remove the crushing grip of attachment. Think about the physiological response. When you are deeply attached, a missed promotion spikes your heart rate, floods you with cortisol, and it literally feels like a death threat to your ego.
Oh, I've been there, is the worst feeling.
But without attachment, it's just data. You take things as they are, you process the disappointment, sure, but you don't shatter into a million pieces because your identity wasn't entirely chained to that single outcome.
Let's apply that to a relationship conflict then. If my partner and I are having a terrible argument, the attachment response is to panic.
Right?
I feel like the very foundation of my universe is cracking, which usually makes me lash out, become defensive, or try to control the situation.
Naturally. But the sublimated response, that come and go mindset, allows you to step back.
Just take a breath.
Yeah. You still care deeply about resolving the argument. You still love your partner. But you realize that this specific conflict and even this specific relationship is just one stretch of scenery on a much longer journey.
That perspective entirely removes the desperation.
It does. And ironically, when you stop clinging so desperately, your relationships usually become much healthier and way more authentic.
It changes the entire texture of how you experience things. It's like you're playing a game to enjoy the challenge and the strategy, rather than playing the game terrified that your actual physical survival depends on the final score.
That is a brilliant way to phrase it.
Yeah.
You still play to win, but losing doesn't destroy you.
Wow.
You stop performing these high-anxiety, tragic dramas on the stage of lowercase life, and you start actually experiencing the grand journey of uppercase life.
You just let it breathe.
You allow that larger existential potential to grow rather than choking it out with obsession.
Okay, let's try to bring all of this together for you, the listener. We started this deep dive by asking if the things that make your life brilliant are actually traps.
Right.
And according to Sue Feng, they are, if you allow them to become attachments. To break free from these mental fallacies, we have to stop treating this brief window of lowercase life as our ultimate destination.
We really do. We have to recognize when we're acting like the fish, blindly lunging for the bait of wealth or status without seeing the chopping board right behind it.
The mountaintop illusion, too.
Yes. We have to realize that the mountaintop we are exhausting ourselves to climb might be entirely barren. And look, knowledge is most valuable when it's applied.
For sure.
So look at your own day-to-day existence. Try to identify where an attachment might be quietly turning into a binding rope.
Where's the grip too tight?
Exactly. Where are you gripping so tightly that you are actually suffocating the very thing you love, or blinding yourself to the rest of the scenery?
Finding that balance really is the work of a lifetime. Experiencing the brilliance without being burned by it.
It's not easy.
No, it's not. And that brings me to one final thought I want to leave you with, something to just mull over as you go about your day.
Okay.
The essay makes a fascinating point early on. It says that how we handle this fleeting, temporary moment of lowercase life actually determines the scenery of our next journey in the grand, eternal scope of uppercase life.
It sets the trajectory for whatever comes next.
Right, so if that's true, what if the ultimate test of our current existence isn't what we usually think it is? What if the test isn't how fiercely we can hold on to the people, the wealth, and the ideals we love so much?
Then what is it?
What if, instead, the true test is how gracefully we are able to let them go when the natural come-and-go relations of the universe dictate that it's time?
Oh, wow.
Could the true measure of a successful life simply be the willingness to travel with open hands?
That is a profound challenge to everything we are taught to value, to travel with open hands.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it gave you something to think about, and as always, keep questioning your assumptions.